Chip Paulson, and a foul going to be on Scott Pritzel.
Guards have to learn that they cannot turn and start pivoting around against a team that wants a double team, because what they're doing is going into their traps, just like what happened there. Manitowoc put on a very, very fine double team.
I want to welcome along our viewers this evening from Jones Intercable of Manitowoc, and hope that you this as from Fond du Lac. Jamie Raminger swinging between the rings off of the foot of Brock Mathias. The Cardinals will get the basketball back.
Well, Fond du Lac being, at this point, they should be experienced, but you could categorize them an inexperienced team. Has to watch that they don't get out of their game plan here.
And somewhere along the line, I hate to do this over the air, but Nancy, we got to get that tripod out of there. As it is Chip Paulson swinging between the rings, giving it to Jamie Raminger, pops up with an 18-footer here, would not go down. Bladorn skying to get, and we may have a foul over the back. Or did they call this on Bladorn? They apparently, no. They called this on Chad Neuser. Chad with his first personal, the second team. Another football game. Out of the coffin corner jump. Wow.
That's only going to get them in trouble if they start taking shots like that. They have to be very patient.
And it's a 5-0 basketball game in favor of the Manitowoc Shipbuilders. Shipper, as he comes back between the two rings here to Mike Little, swinging around off onto the left side. Give it to Pritzel. Shipper out hole high. Falling away, going to shoot it over Raminger, and it would not go down. And Bladorn out of there with the rebound.
Well, Manitowoc with their quickness is using that in their offense. Their kids move pretty well.
So here's Holmes as he comes back to Chip Paulson once again. Paulson spinning into the lane, jump pass off onto the left side to Jamie Raminger. Raminger played out of the man-to-man here by Brock Mathias. Well, the running backs for the Manitowoc Ships. Here's Todd Drew outside, and he cans the 18-footer. Todd Drew with his first bucket of the game, and Fond du Lac finally breaks that ice. It's a 5-2 score. Mathias into the forecourt as they post up here to Little. Right back outside to Mathias with a three-pointer, would not drop. And Raminger again out there with the rebound. And Fond du Lac again will walk it up court, trying to control the tempo of this basketball game. I think they'd like to take even a little more time off of the clock each time they come down here. Here's Raminger going to the lane, and he's going to draw the foul. It was on Pritzel. And they called this a two-shot.
Boy, I thought it was out front on the first initial step. A good step by Raminger to his left. Got the initial crossover. Pick up the ball.
Scott Pritzel has picked up his second personal with 4:04 remaining here in the first quarter of action.
Take another look at it here on the left side. Good. Boy, that's a good call to give him two shots.
Yeah, I would say the foul way outside. Dave Shaw is going to come into the basketball game, 5'9" junior guard. He is the son of head coach Brian Shaw.
Fond du Lac, the game plan obviously is to slow it down, and I would think with that type of game plan, they have to go for about 10 shots a quarter. I play too quick a tempo here. I would think if they play this way, it's going to come back to haunt them.
Raminger missing the second. Holmes with a turnaround jumper in the lane off the rebound, would not go down. It is tapped out by Rob Schiffer, and the Cardinals will get the basketball back again.
The Cardinals doing a good job not being able to control the ball after Holmes' initial shot, but just kept it alive, kept tipping it.
Well, they're back now in that 2-1-2 zone, and
that's off the inbound.
Now, Fond du Lac, actually, if it's their game plan to hold the ball here, is to take some time off the clock. Be satisfied with the score, 5-3 or 7-3 at the end of the first quarter.
Or 5-5, maybe.
Well, as long as they're in the zone, whatever.
Right.
As long as they're in the zone, they might not just as well not shoot it up.
Todd Drew out of the coffin corner.
I know that's not the most interesting basketball to watch, but
well, it is if you win it.
yeah, I guess so. That's true.
Jamie Raminger helped the Cards get down to the state tournament last year.
Yeah. That's the way they got to play.
That's right.
I firmly believe that's the way they have to play all the way to have a chance against some of the best teams in this league.
Well, right now, showing good discipline, just keeping the ball, rotating it around.
And like Dick Diener said, this Manitowoc team, scouting-wise, as the shot falls, battling Holmes comes out of it with a baby skyhook, high off the glass, no. Bladorn goes up, but he's going to get the foul.
See, really, neither shot there. Well, maybe the second shot underneath the basket, but by the first shot, Steve Holt's shot, if again, playing a slow-down, tight-tempo game, they really didn't need that one.
Another point that Dick Diener made is that he does not feel that the Manny Ships like to play defense, and here's Todd Drew with a personal foul reaching in. His first, the second team.
I don't think they play bad man-to-man defense. Their kids
not that they don't play good defense, Don. I'm saying they don't like to play it for long periods of time. They get a little bored defensively. They want to get out and run with the basketball and play offense.
They desire that up-tempo game.
Right.
I watched them, when I watch teams play defense, I watch their feet, and Manitowoc kids move their feet pretty well.
Noiser, a 17-footer head of the key, would not go down, and Bladorn out of there with a rebound for the Fond du Lac Cardinals.
You turn around, look, there's a double team. That's a bad way to play to bring the basketball up.
It's an extremely bad place to pivot also, right over the top of that half-court line.
Hole's going to take Noiser to the bucket here, running one-handed, would not go down. Rebound pulled away by Shipper, Rob Shipper, the senior, 6 foot. Well, they got him listed at guard anyway. As Shipper had the ball knocked loose here, Ramager saves from going OB into the hands of Chip Polson. Polson puts it behind the back as he comes up court. Give it to Jamie to the left side sidewalk. Back to the man-to-man here, this time down court, or up court for the Manitowoc Ships. As Paulson turns down the three-pointer, reloads it now, off to Jamie Ramager to the left side sidewalk. Sophomore forward for the Fond du Lac Cards. Although I guess they got him playing at a guard spot here tonight, don't they? Paulson into the coffin corner they go to Bladorn. This is Holes coming one-on-one, running one-hander at the bucket, would not go down. Blades goes up, but out of there with the rebound is Rob Shipper. And I tell you, for a 6-footer, Don, he gets off the floor, does a nice job under the bucket.
Sure does.
Post up into the lane as they go to Mike Little, double pumping off of the baseline. He airballed it. Ramager out of there with a rebound. Cardinals again with a chance to tie here if they can get a bucket. 1:08 remaining in the first quarter of action.
I don't know what either of these teams are shooting, but right now they're probably both in the 20%.
Well, you're pretty close, Don. Fondy at the point, 1 for 8, and the Ships of Manitowoc are 2 for 10, so they're shooting 20% on the nose.
Personal foul is going to be on Chad Noiser. That'll be his second and the team's fourth.
Had a good crowd in hand tonight, braving the cold weather a little bit. Probably one of the better crowds Fond du Lac has had this year.
Fritzel has come back in. Let's see a couple other substitutions. Stu Wilson, a 6'2 junior forward into the ball game, as Shipper will leave for Manitowoc. And Diedrich has also come in, a 6-foot senior forward. The ball banged loose here by Fritzel. Lead feed down court to Dave Shaw. Running one-hander is good.
Well, they'll put the press on. There you go. Yep.
Another turnover.
And that's the kind of game Manitowoc wants to get into. 2-on-1 offensive situation there where they scored a layup. Then they come back with their press, hopefully try to get a few steals, and then have the game blossom to, like, let's say 13-3. And
Diedrich coming back to Scott Pritzel. Pritzel played here by Steve Holes. They swing it between the rings, give it a little. Coming off the pick here now is
nice pass.
Pritzel off of the baseline. Diedrich could not hit the shot, and the foul is going to be called on Mike Little underneath the bucket.
Good look-away pass across the lane. I had the man wide open over there, just overlaid.
Now, I've got 5. That's the 15th foul there on Manitowoc. We should be shooting a bonus. Yes.
Manitowoc has the kind of team that I think good things could happen for them in a couple minutes, maybe in each game. Maybe 2 or 3 minutes. They have the type of team that can a lot of turnovers and force a team into a transition game.
Again, we see that look-away pass, and there's the foul on Little, pushing off on Jamie Ramager. So Rammer to the free throw line, where he is number 2, connects on the. We'll get one more. Hits the first, misses the second. Again, Holes out there with a rebound, and again puts the ball high off the glass. The second rebound off of Todd Drew's fingertips and out of bounds. And so the Ships will get it back here once again.
Well, Bonnie's had some good shots. Holes has set to connect inside there. He's doing a super job on the offensive board, but just cannot get the ball to drop.
Jeff Bladorn goes out, is into the basketball game. Comes Chad Rouse. Here's the ball back, loose by Chip Paulson. Paulson coming down with the running one-hander. Gone by Chip Paulson.
Good body control, just a hang there to avoid that personal foul.
And the Cardinals have closed to within one at 7-6. With 10 seconds now remaining in the first quarter of action. Stu between the two rings, three-pointer on the way from Pritzel.
Good shot. Well,
second three-pointer of the game by Scott Pritzel.
I would say that's about their fifth three-point shot.
And that is the end of the first quarter of action. And our score after one quarter of play, the Fond du Lac Cardinals trailing Manitowoc at 10-6. Back after this on your Ships and Cardinal Basketball Report.
Today's game is brought to you by Paint and Glass of Fond du Lac. For the most interior wall frames and paints, it's Pat Guy Paint and Glass. And sponsored by an
Manitowoc 4 for 13, 31%. Fond du Lac won the rebounding battle 10-5. 5 turnovers for Cards and 3 for the Ships.
So
it looks
John
like a
Paulson now has come back to start this second quarter of action here for the Fond du Lac Cardinals.
It's a 1-3-1 trap. Surprised he didn't trap Steve Holes down in the corner here.
And that's more of the traditional zone that we have seen an awful lot of in the past. Manitowoc is that 1-3-1. Head coach Brian Shaw can play a lot of that, as I can recall years back.
As you have quickness, this is a good type of press because you can get one defensive guy that can cover two offensive people if you have good quickness. And obviously Manitowoc does possess good quickness.
John Paulson into the basketball game. I would think here, Mike, to possibly to help cut down the turnovers, but for ball handling ability.
Well, I think
on
that's
that press.
right. We had 5 turnovers in a slow-down game as we get a foul here. You don't want to have that many turnovers. They cannot afford that many.
Well, by putting this press on too, I think Brian Shaw feels that he wants to get Fond du Lac out of their game and force them into playing Manitowoc's game.
John Paulson to the free throw line here. He on the first.
Yeah, as we entered
foul there, by the way, was on Dave Shaw. That's his first personal.
As we entered the second quarter of action, we had 3-pointer there right at the end of the first quarter, and Dick Diener had to be very pleased with the tempo of that first quarter. He wouldn't take that one away, which you can't do. It would have been within a point to start the quarter.
Well, the score he's definitely has to be pleased with. I'm sure Brian Shaw would like to see the score like something like 17 or 18 to 12 or 10 or something like that.
Well, the Ships averaging, I believe, around
70-some points a game, and Dick Diener says he's got to keep them in the 40s or 50s here to win this one tonight. 21-hander at the bucket by Neuser is good.
They like to run a lot of back doors off their offense.
So here is Steve Holes working it into the front court. Reload it now, give it to Johnny P. Out between the two. John Paulson, nice feed inside the tie. Play it up and good.
Good movement without the ball by Drew, cutting across the middle, good inside pass.
Quickly up court, this is Pritzel with a running one-hander. Boy, he could shoot the ball,
Well, Steve Holes just got out quick there.
And Manitowoc leads it at 14-10 as Chip Paulson again working it into the front court.
Right now we need to take some control again, get back to that slow-down game because the tempo you just sense picking up a little bit.
Here's a three-pointer on the way from Chip Paulson, and he hit it. Chip Paulson, that's his 5th point of the ball game, and Fond du Lac within 1 at 14-13.
You don't argue the success of that three-pointer, but I'm not so sure that Dick Diener wanted that.
Well, I don't. I'm going to say that he wants Chip Paulson to take that shot. From what we were talking about in the pregame show, he wants these kids to loosen up a little bit and have fun playing the game. He feels they're a little bit too tight. Pritzel again, downtown. Freddie Brown, no good. Johnny Paulson. Rebound. 3-on-2 bust out. Steve Holes pulling up, double pumping at the bucket. Bang out! 15-14. The Fond du Lac jump out in front of the Manitowoc Ships here with 5:46 remaining in the first half of action.
Cards red hot after the second quarter, 3 for 3. But the other side of the coin, Manitowoc is 2 for 3 in their own right.
Brian Shaw coming around the pick out high here from Neuser. Bump bang. Outside, Brian Shaw's going to drop it in.
Well, look, darn.
Brian Shaw, what am I saying? Dave Shaw. Brian Shaw's the guy coaching there, folks.
That's all in the family.
And it's a 16-15 ball game as John Paulson has the ball stripped free on the wraparound steal by Dave Shaw, but they're going to call the foul on him, and that'll be his second. Now, it changes again here. Mike Little back into the ball game. Brock Mathias also back in as Dietrich goes out and Dave Shaw goes to the sideline.
I just got the feeling that Manitowoc could pull away in this game sooner or later because Fond du Lac is playing just too much up-tempo offense. They're creating things offensively, and I'm not too sure what the type of game that we're going to play that they wanted force things to happen offensively. But
well, John Paulson gives the Cards a lead back here again at 17-16. Little.
There's a clear out now.
Out between the two rings, they feed Fritzl here to the left side. He's played by Holes. Dumps it out over the top here again to Mike Little. He's fouled over the back by Jeff Bladorn. And probably a good foul here because otherwise he had the easy bunny underneath. And Bladorn up his second personal foul. That is the third team on the Fond du Lac Cardinals. Should be a two-shot foul. Todd Drew will come back in as Jeff Bladorn will leave.
Well, to give where credit is due, I guess having a week to get ready for their this conference game, Fond du Lac certainly looks a lot more alert, and I'm sure you guys agree, than they did over the holidays against Kimberly. I mean,
well, I tell you one thing that doesn't hurt with all of that, Don, is having a good crowd in the stands. But you got to hear this outside Fritzl on a three-pointer.
Fritzl's a good player. Here comes another defense, a 2-2-1.
And just like that, they pick up a quick 4 and lead it now at 20-17. After trailing it at 17-16. Chip Paulson three-pointer off the back of the rim. Todd Drew with good positioning. Double pumping would not go down, but the foul is going to be, I believe, on Schipper. I'm not sure on this. No, I was wrong. It will be on Chad Neuser, and that is his third. Chad Neuser has picked up his third personal. And Todd Drew will go to the free throw line here to shoot a pair. First is on the way and off the back of the rim.
Well, who's ever guarding Fritzl better decide that he's going to become dangerous as soon as they cross the 10-second line.
Well, Steve Holes has picked him up the bulk of the time.
I don't think Holes can cover him. He's too quick.
And some more substitutions, or one more substitution here. Stu Wilson will come back into the basketball game for the Manitowoc Shipbuilders as Chad Neuser is forced to the bench with his third personal foul. The Cardinals back to within 2 at 20-18. Fritzl looping feet. They were trying to get a give-go there with Mike Little, and Chad Rouse steps in behind the pass and takes it away.
He can guard him if he does that.
John Paulson working it across the timeline. Give it to Chip Paulson.
Back in that 2-1-2 zone. Well, no, it's a 1-3-1.
Yep.
1-3-1, right.
John Paulson, round to the right side. Chip Paulson. They give it to John up between the two circles with 4 minutes here remaining in the first half of action. Holes turns down the shot. Give it to Todd Drew out of the coffin corner. He traveled the ball. Well, we were getting the type of slow down pace right there that I think the Fond du Lac Cardinals wanted, and Todd Drew with one extra step. So Manitowoc now with a chance for a 4-point lead. They dump it into the high post to Mike Little. Looks to split it off. Comes to the left side here to Schipper. Rob Schipper on the yo-yo dribble outside. This is Fritzl.
Yeah, he
picked
gets
up by
that
Holes.
step.
He pulls up with a two-pointer this time.
He's got a quick step. He's a good player.
Yeah, he's got a quick release also.
He's got a quick first step, and that's really good to have for a basketball player.
Now it's like Coach has
there we go.
Chad Rouse threw it away.
Fond du Lac has to be patient. They're not patient enough.
Here by Dick Diener. Dick Diener wants to talk things over. We'll get a timeout on the court. With the score, the Manitowoc Shipbuilders 22 and the Fond du Lac Cardinals 18. We'll be back after this on your Fond du Lac Cardinal basketball report.
And action tonight brought to you by Auto Care Specialists. They're Fox Valley's
All right, music bed number.
Have the interior of your auto, truck, or van shampooed, sparkling clean, and the finest waxes applied to the exterior. Oh, well for sure, for an appointment. Along with Call Insurance of Fond du Lac. He is your independent insurance agent in the Fond du Lac. Because he works for himself, he works harder for you. Remember, when you need insurance, see Bob Paul, 923-4020. And it's Mary Radke at Perfect Stations, offering expert grooming and pet supplies. And right next door is the Fond du Lac Veterinary Clinic, offering deluxe boarding supplies and services for all pets. Free pet pickup and delivery for senior citizens. Enjoy one-stop pet care at 6th and Main, members of our Video Sports Boosters.
Yeah,
So the shipbuilders inbounding here.
And they put a new man on back door.
As a steal by Ty Drew. Stole away that looping feed down underneath the bucket.
They got Paulson now guarding Pritzel.
John Paulson?
Yes.
I would
Right.
bet.
Yeah. I felt he was too quick for Steve Holes.
So this Paulson circle high to the right side, loops it back out to John Paulson with 2:56 remaining here in the first half of action. John Paulson down here to Ty Drew. They get it into the low post to Holes. Had the shot blocked from behind by Stu Wilson, but they're going to call him for the foul.
Did you say John Paulson?
John Paulson is 32.
Right.
Yeah.
No, John. Chip is taking.
Okay.
I think putting Holes on him. Dick Diener felt that it might be difficult for Pritzel to get his shot because Steve is, quicker and he's got good jump ability.
So Steve Holes here to the free throw line. He gets the first. Well, I think also, and also what you're possibly looking at there, Don, is that you're also forcing Steve Holes to concentrate an awful lot more on defense, and you need him offensively as well. So 2:38 remaining here in the first half of action as Holes gets one of the two. Brock Mathias swinging around the horn onto the left side as Pritzel travel with the ball. Coach Diener had made an interesting comment, Mike, in the pregame show this evening, saying that the jumping ability of Manitowoc, he said, these guys are coming down from their jump while our guys are still coiling. He said they get off their feet right now.
Well, that's something you don't see too often. If you have a whole team that does that, right there you see a good shot of it.
Right. But the foul.
They got a break there.
It is going to be on Mike Little.
You saw right there an initial shot. Fondy is up in the air. Look at this. You see just the.
Right.
But on the shot, he was up there ready to release, and Mike Little, defensive man, 31, hadn't even started to lead the floor. He had that quick release up there quickly.
Rawls, he misses the front half. So the Ships quickly into the front court. It's a 22-19 basketball game. Little doubled up on the baseline here. Gets the bank jumper.
Nice tip.
Tipped by Rob Shipper.
Good extension.
Watch a double. Watch a double.
As Chip Paulson is tied up.
And that's a good call.
Possession.
That's the right call.
I can't see the arrow from here. It goes to Manitowoc.
See, the way Fond du Lac is speeding it up offensively, this game could, go 10, 12 points here at any time. Like that. Nice move.
Right down the lane by Little. He gets the bucket and the foul. Jamie Raminger on the personal. And Manitowoc extends their lead out to 7.
Oh, Manitowoc red hot here in the second quarter of action. 7 for 9. A couple three-pointers thrown in for good measure.
They stretch out that offense, which is advantageous for their quickness, meaning they got their people spread around pretty well.
And the rebound here to Shipper. He's going to lay it back in. So it turns out to be a 4-point play for Manitowoc, and they lead it by 9 at 28-19. Well, let's see. They have outscored us now 12-2 in a stretch here in the second quarter, because we at one point had a 17-16 lead as Rawls had the ball back loose, but picked back up by Raminger. Raminger with a jackknife jumper here would knock it down. Rawls got the rebound, gonna put it in, no. And the foul, however, will be, they're gonna call it on Little.
Fond du Lac is beating them on the offensive boards. I would say Fond du Lac must have, what, 8 or 9 offensive boards at this time? Yeah, that's, and, you know, Manitowoc, one of their is, of course, they don't have a lot of they got quickness. They don't have a lot of
You're gonna look back at this once again. You saw the ball bang loose. Raminger, the shot. There's Rawls with the rebound, and then the foul on Mike Little. That is his third personal. Him out.
I remember Manitowoc in the 60s. They had a guy over there by Bobby Sullivan, one of the best basketball players ever to come out of the state of Wisconsin. I'll tell you, they had trees. I mean, they were big.
I remember they had 2 6'9" kids at one time there, remember?
Yeah, and then they had, you know, like I said, Sullivan went on to play at Michigan, and Fond du Lac people may remember him. Manitowoc, I'm sure know him, or obviously know him, but he was a great one.
Rawls gets the first, he also gets the second. And the Cards close the gap to within 7 at 28-21. Let's see some people into the ball game. Stan Diedrich has come back in for the Ships. Ryan Shaw is also back in to the basketball game as they try to come in here to Diedrich. Shot rebounded here by Steve Holmes. And Chip Paulson will work it quickly into the forecourt. Raminger looping feed down here to Steve Holmes, running one hand at the bucket, off the rim. Jamie with the rebound in the lane, turnaround jumper will not go down. Todd Drew has double pumping, good, and a foul.
That's where they're staying in the ball game. They're just absolutely killing Manitowoc on the offensive boards, and in an area where they're going up and getting second and third shots.
What an effort here, though, by Todd Drew, and hammered as he went up for that shot. It's the concentration, got the shot off, gets the bucket and goes to the line, and he gets the three-point play.
Good strength shown also to hold that ball because he was clobbering on top of the arms and the wrist area, and just to continue with that effort to put it in.
And the Cardinals closed within 4 at 28-24 with 24 seconds remaining in the first half of action. This is Rob Schipper out between the two rings. He's played there by Jamie Raminger of Fond du Lac. Matthias reloaded again. This is Schipper. Schipper looking at it down the lane. All alone on the baseline was Diedrich. He's going to come in and lay it up and good. Stan Diedrich with his first bucket of the game as the horn is going to go off here to end the first half of action. And our score at halftime is the Manitowoc Shipbuilders 30 and the Fond du Lac Cardinals 24. We'll be back after this on your Fond du Lac Cardinal Manitowoc Shipbuilder Basketball Report.
Today, sponsored by
around it. You know, you relax defensively when you're 20 feet away, but all of a sudden you're beat back door.
Well, you can't relax against them because they move a lot.
Schipper to shoot the outside 17, honeycomb down. Rebound pulled down by Jeff Bladorn. Leave it in the backcourt for John Paulson, who just came back into the basketball game.
There it is.
And there's the double up. John Paulson in trouble. He dribbled it on the sidelines and out of bounds. And John Paulson now upset with the officials that claiming that he might have been bumped there a little bit.
That's the worst you can do. Take the ball and go in the corner with it, and take your eye off the other offensive or defensive people.
Well, he's also got to get a little help from the teammates there too, I would think. And now Ritzel stepped up.
Well, he doesn't need any help if he stays out of the corner.
What I'm talking about, Don, I think is conversation-wise. The guys want to, warn him that the trap is coming, that type of thing.
Yeah, definitely that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Raminger, circle high here to the left side, going to take it down the lane. Running one-hander, no good. They're going to call the foul out head of the key on Brock Matthias.
One Fond du Lac players, and I don't know if they had just decided to do this week, but they're certainly more active, all of their players offensively, looking to score and not relying as much on Steve Holmes as I felt they were doing over the holidays.
Well, again, something that Dick Diener pointed out in the pregame show this evening was that he wants his team to forget about making mistakes. Don't worry about mistakes or making mistakes, and don't put the pressure on yourselves that way. Let's just go out and enjoy playing the basketball game. I guess he feels that if this team is going to commit 21 turnovers or so in a ball game, they're just going to have to live with that and make up for it in other areas. Todd Drew pulling into the lane, pulls up with a bank jump shot, and rolled out. But the rebound pulled down again by Drew. He goes back up. This one will not drop. and a foul underneath the bucket, however. But again, there we see the presence of Todd Drew in this ball game, and the foul will be charged to Shipper. That'll be his third.
Well, yeah, I like the hustle of Drew there. He took that shot, 15 away. Watch the shot here now. He's still 12, 15 feet away. Ball rolling around. He hustles in, gets that position.
Well, Mike, I think he's starting to step into that role of the sweet deal.
Right.
Okay.
That's
and this
something
is,
that we've pegged him for earlier in the season, and he's that type of ball player. If you use a term, a garbage type, but the kind that is a good garbage type player, excellent free throw shooter that can get to that line and pick you up some cheap points.
Yeah, he has picked up six. He is 6 for 7 from the free throw line. 6 of his 12 points have come from the line. Outside three-pointer by Brian Shaw to hit it.
Good shot.
And that gives Manitowoc a 35-30 lead after you chopped it. Well, I tell you, that is really a backbreaker, isn't it? That
yeah, it is. That three-point play.
You get the score down to 2, and somebody comes down and pops one of those buggers, and to top it off, it makes it look so easy. And
look out.
2-2-1 full court here.
Looping feed comes across the timeline to Todd Drew. Give it to Jamie.
Drop back in the 2-1-2 zone. They show you a lot of looks. You really have to be alert in your guard position to pick up the defenses.
Left side, sidewalk coming down here onto the baseline. They go to Todd Drew. Reloads it back out to Jamie Raminger again. Swinging around the horn. Steve Holes out of the coffin corner to the right side. Holes now going to drive the baseline. Got underneath the bucket? No. Travel with the ball.
Well, he's tried to stop it. He slipped a little bit in the baseline area.
Well, this has not been an evening to remember for Steve Holes thus far at any rate.
A lot of turnovers here in the third period of action. We've got 5 turnovers for the Cards and 6 for the Ships.
Mike Little has come out of the basketball game as Stu Wilson comes back in for the Shipbuilders. Hole high with the basketball is Noiser as he loops it around to the left side. Give it to Brock Mathias. Got it underneath here to Shipper. Turn on, jump on the way, would knock it down. And Todd Drew skying to get again. Leave it in the backcourt for Jamie Raminger. He'll work it across the timeline. Rammer onto the left side. Here's John Paulson pulling up with a bank jumper from 10. No, tapped loose by Holes. Picked up by Drew. Double pumping over Wilson. Nah. Oh.
Well, I'm sure Manitowoc talked about
to drop down. I tell you, we'd be up by 10 points in this game.
Well, I'm sure they talked about, not blocking out effectively, but down in that locker room. But they came right back up here again, and
they're getting too far under.
Well, something's happening. They're not either blocking out or they're getting, they might be getting too far under, but they're just getting beat unmercifully on that offensive board.
This Drew gets the guy up in the air, he doesn't square up. He knows got him right there, so he takes the maybe the man to draw the foul. He's up to 2 points again at the line. The thing that Drew does for you. It's little things that make him very, very effective.
Back to within 3 again. The Fond du Lac Cardinals at 35-32. Dave Shaw traveled there. They didn't pick it up. Out of the coffin corner to the left side. Brock Mathias reloading it again for Shaw. The ball banged loose here by Johnny P. John Paulson hustling to get the basketball. Scramble on the floor. It's picked up now finally. Looping feed down to Dave Shaw. He's going to come up and lay it in good. Good. And there's a bad break for the Fond du Lac Cardinals.
And great hustle by Manitowoc, too.
Well, Fond du Lac had great hustle also.
Yeah, they did.
The ball just rolled
everybody hustled.
Looping feed here to Steve Holes. Now they get the nice backdoor feed here to Chad Rawls. It's blocked by Stu Wilson. Picked up by Drew. He underlaid it. Tapped by Holes. Holes has again. Back out!
3 offensive rebounds.
Steve Holes, that is only his second bucket of the game, and he has 5 points. The Cardinals back to within 3 again. Sticking like flypaper here to the Manitowoc Shipbuilders. Brock Mathias on the right side. They get it to Wilson here on the baseline, and he hit the shot. Stu Wilson, his first bucket of the game.
Well, they break off that 1-4 and create a lot of good things offensively.
John Paulson quickly into the forecourt, bumped and banged by Noiser. They don't call anything there. It was incidental contact. Way outside, three-pointer, Johnny P! John Paulson gets a three-pointer for the Fond du Lac Cardinals. They close to within 2 at 39-37. Well, that was a timely bucket right there. Shaw, left side to Shipper. Shipper coming into the lane. They're going to call the blocking foul here on Jamie. Are they going to give him 2 shots for that?
Yep, 2.
I guess so. Jamie with his 3rd personal, his 2nd team foul only on Fond du Lac.
Oh, yeah, ball game is on our hands right now. A lot of hustle up and down the court. This has turned into a very nice, interesting ball game.
Sure has, and it's been a fast game, too.
Yeah.
Fast third quarter. A lot of action.
So this is Rob Shipper to the free throw line here for the Manitowoc Ships, and he gets the first.
Appropriate name, huh?
Well, I would think that this probably has to be Fond du Lac's best game of the year. I just got that feeling that they certainly show a lot more poise than what they had done a week ago.
Pressure applied. Dick Diener said that they definitely had a good week of practice. Did they call this one a noiser? They might have. They did, and that's his fourth. Chad Noiser has just picked up his fourth personal foul. It is also the 15th foul. Mike Little will come back into the basketball game. And Noiser is forced to the Pines with 43 seconds remaining here in the third quarter of action.
Definitely the most intensity, I think, from the present that we've seen on the Cardinals through the course of a ball game.
So
yes, and they look like a much better basketball team.
Well, I think maybe one of the keys is the fact that Dick Diener took the pressure off as far as the kids making mistakes and said, we've got to go out and play your game. You take that kind of pressure off, maybe it makes
oh yeah, no
bit,
question,
okay?
no question. Well, it looks like Manitowoc is going for one shot here.
With 28 seconds, and the Cardinals now scrambling on defense as Dave Shaw works it into the forecourt. Bring it back out again to Mike Little. He is played out here by Chad Rawls. Little coming down in the lane, loops it back out once again.
Very good patience. I like to see that. When you're going for one.
Little running one-hander at the basket. He overlaid it. Tap once inside by Shipper. No.
Nice shot.
Up and good.
Really a good shot. Good hustle there by Pritzl.
That's the first bucket of the second half by Pritzl. Holes running one-hander will not go down. That's going to be the end of the third quarter of action. And our score here after 3 quarters of play is Manitowoc 43, the Fond du Lac Cardinals 37. Back with the fourth and final quarter of action after this on your Fond du Lac Cardinal Manitowoc Shipbuilder Basketball Report.
Today's brought to members of our Video Sports Boosters, one of which is Hopper Ski and Sports Center on West Johnson Street, where they now feature great savings on all ski equipment. Stop in and check out their ski jackets and bibs for men, women, and children. That's Hopper on West Johnson, along with the Fond du Lac Mosaic Tile Company, ceramic and quarry tiles, Slater marble, commercial and industrial carpeting for your home or business. If you want it installed right the first time, call the Fond du Lac Mosaic Tile Company. Outfitting center in Fond du Lac is Team Sports of downtown Fond du Lac, specializing in the custom fitting of your team. Also, area high school outerwear. That's Jack Team Sports across from Veterans Park in Fond du Lac. So members of our Video Boosters. And as we head into the fourth and final quarter of this game, third quarter stats, Cardinals for 11, 20%, 5 for 11 shooting for the Ships, 56%. The Cardinals had 7 boards, 6 for the Ships, 5 turnovers make it for Fondy, and Manitowoc with 6 in the period.
Did I hear you say that right? 5 for 11 for Manitowoc for 56%? That can't be right there, big guy.
No, that's not right.
No, maybe 46%, huh? Running one-hander here by Mike Little would not go down, and Jeff Bladorn for Fond du Lac out there with a rebound. Cards could use a bucket here, trailing it by 6.
Well, they can only give Manitowoc about 10 or 11 points this quarter if they're going to win this thing.
Johnny P, as they come here on the backdoor feed to Steve Holmes. High off the glass over Little, and he put it in.
Well, let's mark it and see if that's the one. But Holmes got the drop that can turn him on a little bit.
His third bucket of the game. He has 7 points. It is 43-39 in favor of Manny.
And that's probably his lowest production at this point in the last couple of years.
Well, excluding that Reedsburg game, if we recall there, I think it was into the fourth quarter before he finally opened up there, too. Here's Little running one-hander down the lane. Blocking foul.
Yeah,
just a question of who it's going to be on.
Well, I'll say one thing, for being in an aggressive game, these two guys refereeing here are doing a pretty fine job. I know Dick was a little bit upset at the end of the third quarter. I think he wanted a little bump and run call, but I tell you, they're doing a pretty good job.
Mike Little to the free throw line will get a 2-shot foul. The first is on the way and good.
They could You know. Meaning I probably get mad. Well, you know, they're doing a good job.
Little with a big
Or what do you? More, maybe more objective about.
nice feed
Nice
from
pass.
Paulson. Drew good.
Great at the half court on that pass, and Drew got the good pump fake.
And it's 45 to 41 in 4 again, the final.
Well, and the tempo of this game offensively still is in Manitowoc's favor.
However, the score is pretty close to
Well,
Diener and he wanted it here.
yeah.
Right in that ballpark
Of course,
figure
now
anyway.
Manitowoc is slowing things. This quarter, they're kind of sitting happy to be in that.
Paulson. Johnny Paulson is
Shot.
fouled by Brian
Gotta
Shaw.
be 2 shots.
That is going to be an intentional foul.
And the ball.
And Fond du Lac should get the ball back here.
If Manitowoc continues to play a half-court game and kind of let the air out of the basketball, Fond du Lac can get right back in this game, because that is not the type of tempo I think that conducive for this basketball team.
Taking another look at it here.
John Paulson with the hands. I tell you, Fond du Lac should definitely get the ball back, and they're going to.
Yep.
That's a correct call.
Definitely an intentional foul, and
Well, that's
boy, I tell you, mark this one in the books, because this could be a big turning point here. You gotta, if you knock your free throws here, and then can come back and get a bucket as Paulson misses the foot out. So
That's
I whammied him.
strategy.
I whammied him.
Yeah.
Blame it on me.
but right there. That was what this rule is intended to do. To take away that type of situation.
And he missed them both.
Oh, that hurt.
Well, we still scoring.
Well, they didn't lose anything here.
Great. We still have the ball back. We score. We come out.
Yeah, and John's got to shake it off. He's got to remember what he did to create the whole situation anyway, and that was that nice steal.
And as we talked earlier in the season, sometimes that's the toughest to make. That one with nobody in the lanes.
Yeah, I don't.
It's a tough one to hit. You're all up by yourself.
Chip Paulson, circle high here to the left side, between the rings to Johnny P. Right back to Chip once again, looking it down into the coffin. They're really covering on Todd Drew now, aren't they? They're overplaying him. John Paulson, he wanted to shoot the three-pointer turn. Now Chip's going to take away, but not go down.
Oh.
Rebound to Jeff Blador, it's gone! Jeff Blador, that's his bucket of the game, but it couldn't have been a better time. And Fond du Lac within 2 again at 45 to 43. Like Little, looping feed this bias coming down off of the block. They're going to call the foul on John Paulson, and I don't know. I got to disagree on this one. We can go back and take a look at this, and I think that John had nothing but the basketball here.
Right over the back.
I get it.
But if he's over the back, then the outside, the back official should have called the back, not the guy, the out official.
Just the 4th team foul there on foul. Here's Pritzel with a point attempt. Now Todd Drew with a nice box out on Shipper. And Fond du Lac with a chance to knot this thing up, trailing it by 2 with 5:12 remaining in regulation play. John Paulson looking for some help. Todd Drew coming out to give it to him. He had the ball back loose. Picked up by Pritzel. Pritzel's going to lay it up and good.
Yeah, this kid's tough. He's a guy can beat you.
And that was a very bad break right there. And again, you know, the problem's just getting over that hump. John
Nice
Paulson,
pass.
nice feed to Steve Holmes, and he
Good
puts
pass.
it in. Token pressure applied now in the backcourt on Brock Mathias as he works it across the timeline. Give it a little. Out of the right side is Mathias once again. Reload the basketball between the rings and onto the right side. Here's Shipper. Shipper taking it down to the baseline, cut off there. As they reload it out to the high post, Neusers putting it off the post. Pritzel, 2-point shot on the way. Honeycombed out. Blador on the rebound. Jump ball. Who's got the possession?
That's a good call.
Fond du Lac gets the possession.
Thing I like about these two guys officiating this game, they may have missed a couple, but they've been consistent, and that's what any coach wants. You just want consistency, and they're working hard.
2-point lead for the Manitowoc Shipbuilders. Chip Paulson and John Paulson working in the backcourt. Here's Johnny P across the timeline, right on the left side, giving holes as Chip Paulson. He turned down the shot. He had it. Probably should have taken that. Had squared up everything. Holes traveled. They didn't call it. Ball banged loose here in the lane.
Nice
wow,
move.
what a move
Nice
by
move.
Pritzel. Pritzel, he kicked the ball out of bounds. Oh, boy. Well, in the intensity to get the fast break off, he never really did gain control of that thing.
That's
You know who he kind of reminds me of from the years gone by is with that quick release and lankiness is Mickey Cole.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get a timeout taken. With 3 minutes and 48 seconds remaining in regulation play, a timeout on the court with the score. Manitowoc 47 and Fond du Lac 45.
And today's action brought to you by members of our Video Sports Boosters, one of which is Pat Guy Paint Glass of Fond du Lac. For the most complete line of interior wall coverings, frames, and paints, it's Pat Guy Paint Glass. Along with the American Bank at 676 West Johnson Street, they're your full-service bank with the only drive-up time machine in Fondy. That's the American Bank. Member FDIC. And the Team Outfitting Center in Fond du Lac is Team Sports of downtown Fondy, specializing in the custom fitting of your team. Also, area high school outerwear. That's Jack Francis Team Sports, across from Veterans Park in Fond du Lac. As well as the Fond du Lac Mosaic Tile Company, ceramic and quarry tile, slate and marble. Commercial and industrial carpeting for your home or business. If you want installed right the first time, call the Fond du Lac Mosaic Tile Company, members of our Video Sports Boosters.
So the Fond du Lac Cardinals here, inbounding the basketball, and with a chance to knot it up here again.
well, they got to go for a good shot here, and you know, there's plenty of time left, and they got to play this like it's tied.
Shot put up would not go down. Rebound is Jeff Bladorn battling for it. Could not come out of it with a basketball.
A little bit too impatient offensively at times.
I believe that's the first board of the period for the Ships.
Well, I believe that. They don't rebound very well, you know.
Mike Little out of the left side, coffin corner. Brock Mathias, he put it in. Well, there's that hump again.
Well,
that
now they
two-point hump that the Cardinals just cannot get over the top of here. As the ball banged loose here, Johnny Paulson with a look-away pass, and Dave Shaw will bring it back across the timeline.
All right, well, for two and curl right there.
Yeah,
You don't want this to go to 6.
The timeout certainly did not help the Fond du Lac Cardinals, did it? And here's the foul going to be on John Paulson.
Yeah, and they're doing it with Pritzel out of there. Yeah, good timeout by Dick Diener.
And Dick is going to talk things over here again. 2 minutes and 37 seconds remain to be played here in the basketball game. A timeout on the court with the score, Manitowoc 49 and the Fond du Lac Cardinals 45.
Action tonight brought to you by Hoppers Ski and Sports Center on West Johnson Street, now featuring great savings on all ski equipment. Stop in and check out specials on ski jackets and bibs for men, women, and children. That's Hoppers on West Johnson. Along with Capelli Brothers and Dietrich, they're the general contractor serving the Fond du Lac and Fox River Valley area for over 39 years in quality commercial and industrial building construction. Along with Consultants Lab, they're a locally owned reference lab offering complete diagnostic testing by a certified professional staff. That's Consultants Lab of Fond du Lac, and now also serving you in Appleton. Members of tonight's Video Sports Boosters.
And thanks very much, Sir Mike, with 2 minutes and 37 seconds remain to be played here in the basketball game. Manitowoc clinging to a 4-point, 49-45 lead, but to the free throw line will go Rob Schipper to shoot a 1+1. And miss the one and only here.
Well, good timeout right there by Dick Diener, not only to change some strategy here, but also work to cool down the free throw shooter Chipper.
Well, he's got Jamie Ramager back into the basketball game now. John Paulson here working out between the two rings on Brock Mathias. Give it a Holes, a ball bang loose by Mathias and out of bounds.
Has Pritzel got 4 fouls?
Pritzel has 2. The guy with 4 is Chad Neuser.
I thought they'd probably bring him back in.
And now they're going to call the foul here on Shipper. That'll be his 4th. And this will put Steve Holtz to the free throw line.
Take a look at it here. Last side, he got on the wrist.
So Holtz will go to the free throw line.
Big free throws now. We're in the 2-minute mark, 2:09 precisely.
And a chance to close to within 2 here if he can get a pair. Holtz is 1 of 2. He hits the first.
Well, right now, again, Fond du Lac has to, with the type of game that the score right now, they got to pretend that this thing is tied. They don't have to get any panic situation. They got to hope for the last shot and some good things happen for them.
2:04 remaining here in regulation play as Holtz with a pair, and the Cardinals have drawn back to within 2 once again.
Well, they don't need any foul yet. They certainly don't need that. And they're in the bonus, aren't they, Manitowoc?
Both ways.
Yes,
okay,
both ways.
so they don't need any foul.
Dave Shaw comes to Rob Shipper. Give it to Chad Neuser. Shipper and Neuser both playing with 4 personal fouls here right now for the Manitowoc Ships.
So Ships looking now like they're going to go only for that high percentage shot. Therefore, be aware of that back door. Got to play that baseline.
Shipper out between the 2 rings. There's Mike Little here to the left side sidewalk.
Still plenty of time.
Shipper down a little off of the coffin corner. They're really trying to roll the time off of the clock here, leading it by just 2. Brock Mathias with the basketball. Comes out here to Shipper. Looping feed down to Little. Takes it into the inside. Running one-hander, no. Foul is going to be on Jeff Bladorn.
Well, the whole thing set up there by a gamble by, who was it at the half-court line there? I believe it was Paulson trying to go for the steal.
John Paulson, right.
Good hustle trying to go for it, but then the Ships realizing the fact that they're a man up right there, took it to the basket.
So Little, he missed the first. He will get one more.
I'm not even sure with a lead like that if I'd want my player taking that shot. That's a difficult shot he just had to take, especially in a lead here.
He gets the second.
One shot down from tying this ball game.
Well, you can trade him 2 for 1 even to put you in good position.
Look out, look out, look out.
Paulson, they got him doubled up and in trouble here. Has to get rid of the basketball. Holtz coming to help out. Tried to go to Drew underneath. The ball banged loose. And picked up by Mike Little. Well, that's going to create problems as here's the foul now on Steve Holtz, reaching in on Brock Mathias.
Well, I'll tell you, guards have to learn and possibly be told, and they got to back up. Don't get caught in corners. Just back up with the basketball and keep your sight of your other players.
And again, the communication factor. Right here, we're going to get a
tough to
timeout
communicate now.
taken by Dick Diener. 54 seconds remaining in regulation play. Timeout on the court with the score. Manitowoc 50, the Fond du Lac Cardinals 47.
Bringing it tonight's action is the National Exchange Bank, where they're unmatched in size, strength, and service. At the National Exchange Bank, we take banking personally. Located at 130 South Main Street. Along with Fondy Specialties, the place to come for all your custom t-shirts and silkscreen needs. Located at 537 South Main Street in Fond du Lac. And of course, the Sports Shop 2, featuring the area's most complete line of hockey and physical fitness equipment. Sports Shop 2 in downtown Fondy. Along with Rickmeyer Home Furniture, where quality furniture costs less than you think. That's Rickmeyer's in downtown Fond du Lac. Well, again, crucial time at the free throw line here. The Ships are going to go, leading it at 50-47 here. The old timer says 54 ticks left on it.
Now, this might have been the right guy to foul, too. Mathias has not been to the line yet tonight. He has a total of 6 points in the basketball game.
He makes these two of this going to be very difficult to overcome.
First on the way, short for the ribs. Steve Holtz out with a rebound.
Whammied him.
I have a good habit
he
with
did
that
a good job there, at least for Fond du Lac.
Holtz three-pointer, and rimmed off. out by Brian Shaw. He is fouled, or by Dave Shaw. He is fouled by Steve Holmes once again. So we come to the other end of the court. It will be Dave Shaw going to the free throw line. Shaw has not made a trip to the line yet tonight.
Well, he's a good shooter, so he can make free throws.
This will be a 1+1, but under a pressure situation here. First on the way and good. So now you need 2 trips down the court.
For some reason, most coaches' sons are pretty good shooters, except I had one who wasn't too good.
I was wondering if you were going to make a comment on that.
Mike, I'm sorry.
And the token pressure now applied in the backcourt here by Matthias. 5-point lead again for Manitowoc, and that is going to be pretty tough to come. Well, you got to do something. There's a 5-second call. And Brian Shaw wants to talk things over with 27 seconds remaining. We're going to get a timeout taken here. With the score, Manitowoc 52 and the Fond du Lac Cardinals 47.
And some members of our Radio Sports boosters tonight. All Insurance of Fond du Lac. He is your independent insurance agent in the area. Because he works for himself, he works harder for you. Remember, when you need insurance, you need Bob Call. Give him a call at 923-4020. Now with Auto Care Specialists, they're Fox Valley's finest auto health spa. Have the interior of your auto, truck, or van shampooed, sparkling clean, and the finest wax applied to the exterior. Call Ralph or Sherry at 921-3133 for an appointment. So members of our Video Sports Boosters helping us bring you tonight's action from the Goodrich Gymnasium.
Well, once again, one of these kind of ball games, Don, that you wish you could be down on the floor to help about once in a while, don't you? You get to that point where you got the basketball, you're down by 2, and just can't crack over that hump. And I bet that happened about 3 or 4 times here in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and it usually happens, better talent eventually won out, and that's what happened here.
But so near and yet so far, and Jamie Raminger with a reach-in foul. It will be his 4th.
Well, you're going to send Bristol to the line here. Probably not the guy you want to, but at any rate, you had to take the ball quick.
I was surprised that he sat on the bench so long, but maybe he hasn't. I don't know. I was just surprised he wasn't back in there sooner.
He did not have a real good second half. 10 points in the first half, Don Guys. Here in the second half has been held to 4, but as you said, has not been in the ball game a whole heck of a lot. He gets the first. And,
well, no, I think he just took him out after that turnover. Maybe, he needed a break or a little rest here.
So it's a 6-point lead and just about an insurmountable thing here now for the Fond du Lac Cards, as it looks as though Manitowoc will come away with the victory.
Well, that one should just about do it. Before that, 2 3-pointers could have made
Well, here's Chip. Pulls up off of the baseline. Shot would not go down. Tap once by Todd Drew. No, the rebound off to Mike Little. Outlet pass comes here to Pritzel, and he is fouled in the backcourt.
Maybe that's why he sat out for a while. He gets the ball. He gets a little wild. Well, it looks like we're going to hold it about 55, but I guess we forgot as far as Fond du Lac people concerned, we only scored 47. Good ball game.
The score is right in the ballpark where Dick Diener wanted it to be, and Jamie Raminger is fouled out here.
Well,
leaves with 4 points and a lot of hustle here this evening.
We were talking about, Dave, Mike and I said at halftime, or I said in talking with Mike, that Fond du Lac would have to hold them to about 55, and I guess we forgot to think that we should get about 57.
Britzel will go to the free throw line with a 1+1. The first is on the way and good. And, the other thing about this, of course, is that Manitowoc will come away with about a 9 or 10 point margin of victory, and it probably shouldn't have been anywhere near that.
No, it was about a 4-point game.
Yeah. Second one no good by Pritzel. The rebound pulled down by John Paulson. Outside, Todd Drew's going to fire. Will not go down. Rebound battled for underneath. And down to 2 seconds to 1. That's the end of the basketball game. The final score here this evening from the Gooder School Gymnasium is the Manitowoc Ships 55 and the Fond du Lac Cardinals 47. We'll be back with a wrap-up after this on your Fond du Lac Cardinal Manitowoc Shipbuilder Basketball Report.
Brought to you by Paint and Glass of Fond du Lac. For the most complete interior wall coverings, frames, and paints, it's by Paint and Glass. And sponsored by the American Bank at 676 West Johnson Street. Your full-service bank with the only drive-up time machine in Fond du Lac, a member FDIC. At Fur Fixations offers expert pet grooming and pet supplies. And right next door, the Fond du Lac Veterinary Clinic offers deluxe boarding supplies and services for all pets. Enjoy one-stop pet care at 6th and Main.
The final score once again this evening from the Goodrich High School Gymnasium is the Manitowoc Shipbuilders 55, the Fond du Lac Cardinals 47. And Don, guys, I think a very, very entertaining basketball game out here tonight. Certainly something that the Fond du Lac Cards were in this ball game until we got down to about the minute and a half mark or so, and were forced to take a couple of fouls. We had a couple of things that didn't go right down that late stretch. When it was 47 to 45, they went out to a 4-point lead at 49 to 45, and we were forced to take in a couple of fouls in there, and the score went on up from there. The final score not at all indicative of the type of game that was played tonight.
Yeah, it was a 4-point basketball game. At one point, again, I guess late in the second quarter, I thought that when Manitowoc had it up to about 9, and I actually felt at that point that the game might get away from Fond du Lac, but I thought overall Fond du Lac played with a lot of enthusiasm and desire, and they played a game against a very aggressive and a very quick Manitowoc team. If Manitowoc has any weakness, it certainly has that they don't have a big guy inside, and obviously their rebounding is very, very suspect. But they play very hard. They had to play hard because Fond du Lac challenged them very, very well tonight. I think Fond du Lac has a chance to win some basketball games in this league if they continue to play like they did tonight. I think another thing to the credit of their kids is that they certainly didn't decide. They decided, let's put it this way, they decided that I guess offensively that they were all going to try to their load instead of leaving it up to one guy, and they looked to more aggressively offensively from an individual standpoint, and I think that's to their credit. I thought they played very, very well, and again, they lost to a better basketball team. Manitowoc is a better team than Fond du Lac is.
Certainly, Fond du Lac took, I think, control the tempo in this ball game.
Yeah, I agree.
To the greater extent here tonight, and forced Manitowoc out of the type of game that they like to play. They did force Manitowoc to play a 42 out here this evening.
Right. That's exactly. Go ahead.
I think an interesting stat also, David, is that it kind of points out where Fond du Lac came from tonight is they had some 18 free throws converted tonight. That kept them in the ball game, and those free throws were a lot of scrappy play. They were out there hustling tonight, and Don, something that you brought up earlier, that intensity factor. I think they had more tonight from start to finish, and we've seen out of this team for quite some time.
Well, let's put it this way: with the type of team they have this year, if they don't go out and play hard, I mean, they're going to get licked very, very badly. I mean, they could, if they don't play hard, they could have games like 80 to 40. And, I think if Steve Holes would have had just an average performance offensively, they would have had a chance to win tonight. He did not have a good game offensively, and that probably led to their downfall.
Well, we're going to be right back to give you all the final scoring and a look at the statistics on the basketball game here this evening, right after this on your Fond du Lac Cardinal Manitowoc Shipbuilder Basketball Report.
At Randall's Original Frozen Custard, You can choose from delectable chocolate, delightful vanilla, and a host of tempting daily flavors, all served on a freshly made hand-rolled cone. Can't you just taste it?
Randall's Original Frozen Custard.
Again, the final score here this evening, the Manitowoc Shipbuilders 55, the Fond du Lac Cardinals 47. And to take a look at the scoring in the basketball game, first of all, for the Manitowoc Ships out here this evening, they were led by Scott Pritzel, who finished with 17 points in the ball game. And following up behind him, Dave Shaw with a total of 11. Rob Shipper with 6 points in the ball game. It was Mike Little with 6 points in the ball game. Brock Mathias with 6 as well. Chad Neuser had 2 and spent an awful lot of time on the Pines tonight in foul trouble. Stan Diedrich with a total of 2 points, and Stu Wilson also chipping in with 2 for the Manitowoc Ships here tonight. Fond du Lac Cards were led in the basketball game by Todd Drew, and probably one of the headier performances that we have seen from Todd Drew, I think, Don, guys, this season. Maybe is going to blossom into that, as we said, the Sweet Dill type of player that we had in Sweet Dill last year.
Well, looking at this scoring, what you really need now is one other guy to get out of those single digits.
And I would think that would be Chip Paulson.
Well, I think so.
He's the shooter.
I would think he's got that. That would be the logical candidate, I would say. But I think for them to win basketball games, they're going to have to get. Now they got Drew. Maybe he's got enough confidence and so on in his offensive game to start getting 10, 11 in a game. Steve Holmes, we know, is always, he's not going to have 11. He's going to end up there at 18, 19, 20. But now we need one more guy as far as Fond du Lac's concerned to get them into those double figures. And then you can have somebody with 6 and 5 and win. But you still got only 2, and you need at least one more.
As we said, John Paulson there was 7, Chip Paulson with 5, Jamie Raminger finishes with 4, Rawls and Jeff Bladorn with 2 points apiece to round out the scoring. Mike.
Okay, the final stats of the game. The Cardinals ended up shooting 13 for 40 from the floor, 33% effort. For the Ships of Manitowoc, Don, right where you wanted to have them, and the shots attempted, 20 for 42. 48% from the floor for the Manitowoc Ships.
Well, and if Fond du Lac's, a lot of their shots were offensive rebounds in the paint, too.
Right.
If they could have converted on some of those, the score could have been different. But they missed a lot of time. They'd get the offensive rebound, and then they'd only put it up there once or twice and miss it.
Speaking of rebounds, the Cardinals led the rebounding battle, 29 to 22. The Cardinals committed 17 turnovers for the game, and the Ships of Manitowoc had 15, Dave.
Well, we will remind our Fond du Lac viewers that we have some more action coming up for you yet this weekend. On Saturday afternoon, we'll be right back here at Goodrich High School once again. And again, it's wrestling coverage as we will bring you the championship rounds of the 1988 Fond du Lac Invitational here from the Goodrich Gymnasium, and we should have that replayed for you at 5:30 on Saturday afternoon. Then a big hockey game for you on Saturday night as we turn to men's Senior A hockey. It will be the Fond du Lac Bears playing host to the De Pere Deacons in what should be a real whopper of a Badger State Hockey League game. Of course, the Fondy Bears are leading the Badger State Hockey League with a 7, now an 8-0 mark, and 1 game back are the De Pere Deacons. So that is going to be a dandy game on Saturday night. We'll have the replay for you at 11 p.m. Next Monday, it will be gals basketball action on Monday evening as the Green Bay East Red Devilettes will be here in town to tip off against the Fond du Lac Cardinal gals. We'll have that one for you at 10:30 p.m. Let's see, what did we have on Tuesday? Do you recall?
Tuesday, I believe we have a day off, David. I think
we have a day off. Next Thursday, we have a very big game for you. Thursday night, it will be the Marion College Sabres playing host to the Ripon College Redmond. Next Friday evening, it will be a change in the schedule. We will have Winnebago Lutheran basketball against Northwestern Prep. And if things go on and on and on, we're just getting busier and busier all the time here. But that's some of the upcoming action here on Star Cablevision
Saturday
Channel 30.
we'll flip to the ice and we'll have the Fond du Lac Cards in Middleton, I believe.
Middleton next Saturday evening. Right. My thanks tonight going out to my 2 camera people who have been Nancy Stokely and Ralphie Pop. Bob Riley has been our technical director.
a perplexing Alabama team, not knowing what to do when they get on the offensive end. And plus the fact that they are so in tight in the lane, they're asking and wanting Alabama to shoot from the outside.
Bama to throw it in. Alvin Lee, the trigger man. There's an immediate steal. Floor from Brunt goes Wilson, and he couldn't sneak it up after his shot was affected by the defense of Gary Waits. Here's Waits playing with that knee, injured in the summer. Right side Ansley, way outside, he kicks it, and it's a two-pointer for Alvin Lee. Bama bench thought it was a three-pointer, but they're calling it two. Lee has 11. Alvin just needs to find out how to get his feet behind the line because he obviously has the touch.
Oh, his little toes right on the line right there. And if your toes on the line, then it's a two-pointer. More importantly, the fact that Alvin Lee is really playing more aggressive tonight. You know, he was sat down on the bench because Coach Wimp Sanderson said he didn't play with enough intensity on the defensive end. But I can say this, on the offensive end, he's playing with great intensity.
Baker, left wing. Lee, by the way, 5 out of 5 now from the field. Alabama trying to generate some defense here. Shot clock below 20, one of the few times Arkansas has taken that much time so far. Pettit kicks it back, Wilson. Around they go. Baker back to Brunt. Good shooting guard he is. Here's Wilson open off a Baker pick. Too short. And there's a guard rebounding. Baker with a touch. Tipped and nicely done by Melvin Cheatham.
Well, that was what I was saying earlier. They must block out the guard. The guard's going to go to the hoop for the rebound. Shows the experience, though, Bob, of Arkansas. Here they're up by 16 points. They didn't rush down to get a shot. They took 30 seconds off the clock before they shot it.
Ooh, from behind, Bryant Lancaster driving hard. Somebody posted up to take a charge, and Lancaster called for his first. That will be team foul number 7 against Alabama.
It's very difficult to penetrate on a zone and not charge somebody. When you got 3 people standing underneath the basket, they're just waiting for somebody to go in the air and penetrate like that.
Larry Marks, who redshirted last year because of an ankle injury, took that charge in physical fashion. Razorbacks making some changes. We'll update scores for you. GWU winning big over the Knights this evening, 72-46. And another SEC team in action, the Bulldogs over LaSalle by 8 this evening. Andrew Lang is back in for Arkansas. Marks at the line. Larry out of Columbia, Tennessee. All-American in high school there. His team only went 85-13 in his career. You know, they played that many games.
They need to, Alabama needs to cut this lead down to at least double digits in the 10 area by halftime. If they go into halftime with a 20-point deficit, it's going to be very difficult to come back out.
Down now by 17. Lee dishing, and Cheatham going up drawing a foul. Ron Hury, the man they're pointing at, it would be his second. All the fouls now result in free throws. Both teams are in the bonus situation with 5:23 remaining before halftime.
For 5 consecutive years, Wimp Sanderson has had a point guard that has led the SEC in assists. And the reason for that is that he's a post-up coach. He wants the ball pushed on the inside. He wants it penetrated and given to the guys that can score from the inside. But it's going to be very difficult for them to score on this powerful Arkansas team, especially the way they play defense.
Melvin Cheatham has done well in the shooting department as a freshman. Those percentages. Hury grabbed it. 35 for Arkansas, 19 for Alabama, 5:15 remaining. Arkansas moved out to a 13-2 lead in the first 4:05.
Alabama's back in their 3-2 drop zone again. Lancaster is playing the point. He's the one that's being the roamer in this. They got to make this very aggressive, though.
Hury for 3, air ball, backdoor rebound, and kicked over to Ansley. Pressure in the backcourt. Arkansas that time, nothing doing as they have Scott and Freeman back in there. High off the glass and miss. Cheatham can't get it down. He tips it around and keeps it alive, and Waits has it. Shot clock back up to 45. Ansley, just simply nothing there. Waits with a good move away from Scott. He took him right off the floor. Gary Waits has 2.
They can get this down to 10 before the half is over. It's going to be a great factor for coming back out. It's going to give them a lot of confidence.
Lynn Sanderson talking to Kemble Smith, who's set to check back in. Ron Hury, though, reaching into double figures. He has 10. Alvin Lee of Alabama has 11 to lead scorers here. Here comes Lee. Offensive foul. Is he in the air shooting when he committed the foul? Or was it before the shot? Basket does not count.
Let's look and see if he had position, if he moved at all. It was a good call. He did not move at all. I mean, it looked like Frankenstein standing there. He was in cement, Bob, so that was really a good call. Alvin Lee should have pulled up, taken a little 8-foot jumper because he hasn't missed tonight.
Yeah, but I love that scoop shot by Alvin. That's going to count for 2 someday.
But not tonight.
That's that time. Batted away. Defensive play by Lancaster. Here's Waits bouncing it back to him for off the glass. Lancaster with good defense. Then he got down the floor to score. A 14-point game with 3:35 remaining first half in Little Rock. Ron Hury's been quiet from a scoring standpoint since the early going. Had a field goal a moment ago. Alabama starting to do some reaching and poking and deflecting defensively now. And we have a timeout on the floor. Coaches will get a chance to talk about things with 3:24 remaining. Arkansas by 14 in first half action on USA.
Welcome a totally new kind of Ford to the street. Front-wheel drive Ford Festiva. Small outside, big inside, with 42 standard features and a 6-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty.
It's a Ford. It's a Festiva. It's a Ford. It's a Festiva. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Listen to the sound of a closer, smoother shave. Williams Electric Shave sets up my beard, so my shaver shaves closer, and I get a smoother shave. Listen to Williams Electric Shave. The sound of a closer, smoother shave.
The biggest hits, the brightest stars, the best rock and roll of today and beyond.
Tonight I'm gonna party like it's 1999.
Rock File, premiering Saturday at noon on USA.
Coming up at halftime this evening, we'll check in with the latest from Wall Street on this Wednesday before Christmas. We'll feature Nolan Richardson and the tough going he's had over the last year or so at the helm of the Razorbacks. And as well, our Prudential first half statistics, and we'll also take a look at a highlight or two from the first 20 minutes.
One of the disadvantages, Bob, of playing waves of people like Nolan does, and I say this in a positive way, is the fact that everybody knows they're going to play. But one aspect is Alabama can get back in this basketball game. They were up something like 16 to 17 points when he instituted about 3 or 4 different people, and they come in cold off the court. So that's one disadvantage, because if he would have stayed with the lineup he had at the beginning, with the rejection of the blocks, with the confusion he was causing Alabama, this game could have been a 30-point game right now. Again, I say that in a positive nature because of the fact that he's got so many players that can play that he has to give them time.
Richardson says this is really the first team he's recruited that's taken the floor at Arkansas. He's been under pressure here after a couple of less than spectacular seasons, but he's got it going his way this time. A miss by Lang. Off to the races. Waits cutting him off pretty well was Hury before he could cross the midcourt line. Alabama could get back to a dozen with a basket here as the clock runs under 3 minutes remaining in the first half. Here's Waits penetrating, lost the ball. Tim Scott, 3-on-2. Hury on the right side for Freeman. Hury got the rebound, and on the way up, he was either bumped by Ansley or hacked by Cheatham. Looks like Ansley, 45, may have gotten him with the body.
Coming down, that's a perfect pass to the good shot to over there like that.
Second personal foul.
Obviously, he got him on the arm. I didn't see much contact, but I think he got him on his right arm when he went up.
Ron Hury, the Arkansas MVP as a freshman a year ago, 12 points a game, number 2 in the team in scoring. #1 in steals. He was the Southwest Conference Newcomer of the Year and the only freshman in the league to average double figures. Arkansas, as we said before, the far-and-away choice to win that conference championship this year. And he missed them both. That's one way to let a team back in quickly as well. Miss free throws.
They need a bucket right here, Bob. Very badly, they need a bucket.
Waits in lead, running the offense.
Arkansas has changed defenses. They're now a man-for-man pressure defense. What you're going to see is a high-low situation. They're going to try to get the ball into Ansley.
There it is. Waiting for people to leave the floor. Off the glass, got the foul and the basket. Michael Ansley with his first field goal of the night.
That's a big confidence booster. They finally got it into Ansley on a man-for-man situation. This is where he excels. Good fake, got everybody up in the air, made a tough shot, got a chance for a three-point play. Now, if Arkansas stays in a man-for-man, it's really going to help Alabama a great deal because they're going to go every time down the court to Ansley.
He has 4, and suddenly you look up and it's an 11-point game. Arkansas led by as many as 16, then 18 and 17.
If they can get this down to 10 points, even better. If they can get it down to single digits by halftime, it'll be a great confidence booster for them.
Scott for 3, well off the mark. Freeman reaching for the baseline rebound. Another example of those guards getting rebounds. That's what the 3 does. It results in more loose balls way out away from the basket off the iron.
That's the one thing they worked on in practice last night. The guards had to lay bodies on the guards so they wouldn't get the rebound. So they're really doing a poor job of keeping the guards from getting the basketball.
Drew Lang put it down to the floor and drew a foul. Ryan Lancaster his second. We talked about what Alabama's Wimp Sanderson working on at practice, Pete. It has not been a pleasant week for the Crimson Tide. Losing at home to Montana State on Saturday. Back to beat Mississippi Valley State on Monday, and they showed up here in Little Rock last night. Actually worked out 2 different times. He has been working them this week.
Well, when you play a schedule like that, especially in the beginning, when you play really a bunch of ducks, when you come up against a team like Arkansas, you're going to find just how mature you really are. And a lot of teams do. Very few teams, Bob, except a team like Louisville, who's like 3-3 and ranked 7th in the nation a lot of the years because they come out against teams like Indiana. But that was really a good foul by Alabama because Lang's shooting 43% from the foul line, and so they got a better chance of him not making this. And of course, that's usually what happens when you say that.
Well, he bounced it around, though. Wimp Sanderson, in his 8th year, he's been to 6 straight NCAAs at the helm of the Crimson Tide. 4 of those times to the Sweet 16. Last 3 years in a row. This team would have to grow up in a hurry to make that statement one more time. There's Credit with the rebound, throwing one up. And Ansley comes in to clear the glass defensively.
Now they're going to have 2 more possessions, and they need to score on these 2 possessions.
Boy, Waite's got the ball down in a hurry for Cheatham. Here's Alvin Lee as the Tide hits the offensive glass a bit. 1:20 remaining in the half. Open is Waits, missing badly. Cheatham manhandled by Lang. Loose ball, Uri. Tough going in there.
A lot of contact underneath there.
Wimp Sanderson believed that his freshman did not draw a foul on Andrew Lang. Freeman driving baseline left, and he caught Ansley reaching in, and that's number 3 on Michael.
That is really not a good foul. Ansley did not need to make that type of foul.
Anytime Ansley only has 1 more point than fouls in the first half, this Alabama team will be in trouble home or away this season.
There's no doubt about it. That foul right there is a major story of the first half. That's his 3rd foul, and that Michael Ansley's their whole offense except for Lee on the outside. So
Ansley leaves, and back in is Bryant Lancaster. They check out 6'7", 225 and bring in 6'3", 180, a small, quick Bama lineup here for the last 53 seconds.
And they've got Askins in there who's got a bummed up ankle, who really can't run that well. He was really limping last night in practice, but he's coming out here trying to run, trying to do the things that Coach wants.
Waits, of course, coming off preseason knee surgery.
And he's wearing what's called a Lenox Hill brace. I used to wear one of those things. Mine weighed 15 pounds. What they've done is put it into a hard Now it's very, very light now, but what it does is becomes your knee. And before the game is over, you see him a little bit dragging that knee.
Allie Freeman hits them both. He has 4, averaging 7. Here's a guy with one of my favorite names in college basketball. It's his real name, Cannon Whitby, and he is a bomber from outside. He's out of Obion County, Tennessee. 40 points a game in high school there, Mr. Basketball in the Volunteer State. Nearly a steal, 40-26. Alabama getting a drive from Alvin Lee. He lobbed it over Lang. Sean Baker got the rebound. And here come the Razorbacks with a chance to lead by as many as 16 or more at the half. The folks want Whitby to gun up a three-pointer. With 28 seconds left, it's still a little early for that.
Well, they're going to take one shot. They're a composed team. They're 1 year more experience. They're very confident. They feel like they have this game. I mean, they're very mature. They're taking their time.
Looks like Chris Brunt says, get away from me, man. We'll get it to you when it's time. Now it's below 10. Here's Whitby for 3. Short, and he was hammered to the floor by Alvin Lee, who draws his 3rd foul 4 seconds before halftime. So the 2 offensive guns of Alabama, 3 fouls each.
Personal foul is charged to number 20.
One gunner taking on another one right there.
No doubt about it, that is going to really play havoc with Alabama in the second half, especially if they're on the pine.
And Alvin Lee's done a lot of their penetrating. You can't go doing that playing with 3 fouls.
Well, he's going to have to go with them anyway. With 3 fouls, 4 fouls, he's going to have to go with them because they're down now by 15 points. They had an opportunity to get it down to 9.
Cannon Whitby now. 5 for 5 from the line this year. Arkansas by 16. Turnover. Baker. And the shot by Braun for 3. A terrible mistake by the Crimson Tide at the buzzer. And Arkansas leads by 19. You simply cannot afford to make a mistake like this before the buzzer.
Well, that was a bad pass. Very difficult to handle. And that's what happens. The momentum's with Arkansas again coming out in the second half. They're up by 19.
Halftime coming up from Little Rock, Arkansas. It's all Razorbacks at the break by 19 big ones.
The symbol of excellence, Rolls-Royce. And of all the magnificent automobiles bearing this crest, there is one single classic that surpasses all others, the legendary Silver Ghost, now recreated by Franklin Mint Precision Models in a collector's piece so exceptional, it's the official model authorized by Rolls-Royce Motor Cars Limited. The Silver Ghost. Only one was ever built, and now it's recreated in a stunning die-cast model with protectively coated sterling silver-plated trim. Hand-assembled from more than 127 pieces, each feature is authenticated by Rolls-Royce Motor Cars Limited. Like the removable spare tire, sterling silver-plated trim, tiny instruments, pedals and controls, engine detailing precise to the last spark plug, you can almost hear the ghost-like hum of its motor. A showpiece for home or office. To order, call 1-800-468-2100. Use your credit card or mail a $30 check or money order. You'll be billed the balance in 3 monthly payments. With your model comes a history and certificate of authenticity. The imported Silver Ghost is available only from Franklin Mint Precision Models. Call 1-800-468-2100. The Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost, a most incredible model of the world's most incredible car.
There's nothing quite like owning a Rolls-Royce.
It's simple for me to make this pack of cigarettes disappear. Now make your smoking habit disappear just as easily. Improved, maximum strength, Cigarest. With Cigarest, there's no hocus pocus. You'll stop smoking in just 7 days, without withdrawal, without gaining weight, without spending hundreds of dollars.
And with the Cigarest program, I just did not suffer any withdrawal symptoms.
Yes.
Cigarest works.
We have a lot of friends that smoke.
Well, some of them used to smoke. They're trying Cigarest now, and it's working for them, just like it worked for us.
If you don't stop smoking after using the Cigarest program, we'll refund the full purchase price. Find a more effective, less expensive stop smoking program, and we'll double your money back.
It works.
Yes.
Cigarest works.
To quit smoking, call toll-free 1-800-453-6800 or send $19.95 plus $4 postage and handling to Cigarest, Box 4444, Carlsbad, California, 92008.
We're at Barton Coliseum in Little Rock, Arkansas. The Razorbacks home away from home, and they feel very much at home right now, leading by 19. Just when Alabama was set to get back in the game, getting as close as 11, everything caved in on the Crimson Tide, and Pete Maravich, some of the keys we talked about early in the ballgame tonight have certainly come true in the first half of play.
Arkansas's experience and defensive pressure, without a doubt, has taken place here tonight. Alabama, on the other hand, turnovers. We talked about that to be the key. That and rebounding, they've done neither tonight, and that's why it's a 19-point deficit.
Two questions. First of all, what can Alabama possibly do about this foul situation? And secondly, how can they get Andrew Lang away from the basket a little bit? He's just setting up shop in there and totally controlling the paint down deep.
As long as you have a 19-point lead, Lang's going to stay there. They're not going to get him out of there. They're going to play that 2-3 zone packed in tight. And Alabama, the only thing they can do is come back out, go with the players, even though they got 3 fouls apiece on them. They got to go with it.
It's a real personnel problem, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, here at halftime, let's take a look at the latest from Wall Street. We'll check in with Mr. Bill Bruce standing by. He's got the Wall Street Journal.
An update on lower meat prices coming up next.
The Wall Street Journal Consumer Update with William Bruce. News from the editors of the Wall Street Journal.
This season, choose MasterCard.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand.
Welcome home, Rich.
Make this world a better place. Oh, yes! If you can.
Now, every time you use MasterCard, we'll donate money to 6 worthy causes. So use MasterCard and help make a difference.
Ready to go to Grandma? Good. Reach out and touch somebody's hand.
Choose to make a difference. Choose MasterCard.
Introducing Lee Sculptured Nails. Long-lasting like luxury salon nails, but affordable because you do them at home.
Lee Sculptured Nails. Affordable. But are they easy?
Like nothing you've ever used before. If you can polish your nails, you can do it. Glue on an extension.
No form.
Brush on the overlay.
Like nail polish.
Smooth, shape, and polish.
Lee Sculptured Nails are easy.
And long-lasting like salon nails. Plus, they're affordable.
Lee Sculptured Nails.
Who else but Lee?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks to lower meat prices, grocery shoppers can expect to have a rather easy time balancing their food budgets next year. Some meat prices could hit their lowest level in a decade due to increased supplies. On a wholesale basis, experts say chicken prices could fall as much as 10% and pork prices as much as 12%. Beef prices should remain stable, but could drop too if producers try to lure shoppers away from low-priced pork and chicken. That should hold down food costs generally. In fact, if the experts are right, next year could be the 5th in a row that overall food prices have risen less than 4%. For the Wall Street Journal, I'm William Bruce. Now back to Barton Coliseum in Little Rock with Bob Carpenter and Pete Maravich for more College Basketball 88.
We're in Razorback country here in Little Rock. It's 45-26 at halftime. The Razorbacks on top. And coming up, the emotional story of the Razorbacks head coach.
The unknown, the unforeseen. Every business faced it, especially those that stood alone on the frontier. And the cavalry was there for protection, for peace of mind. Today, the Kemper Cavalry guards business against loss. For your business insurance needs, contact an independent agent who represents Kemper. Once you compare Kemper, you'll ride with us.
It started one day with the kid down the street. That block-busting sound got them moving their feet. No ordinary day in this quiet little town. It was get down and party music to rock the block down. 45 giant hits to get your party hopping. The original stars to get your block rocking. 1, 2, 3, good luck. Rockin' down the block didn't cost much bread, but it's got this block rocking right out of their heads.
I keep on dancing, shake it up, baby. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. Kick my heels up and down.
The beat carried further from miles around till the whole town was dancing to that rock and roll sound.
Wow, I feel good. Hey, give me some
Rockin' Down the Block, the ultimate party album for ultimate party people on 4 LPs or $19.95. 2 compact discs, just $24.95.
Card customers call 1-800-257-1100. If busy, call 1-800-637-0800. Save COD charges and send just $19.95 for albums or cassettes or $25 for compact discs, plus $3 shipping and handling to Rockin' Down the Block, Box 4, Orchard Park, New York.
Razorbacks on top by plenty, 19 at the half by a score of 45-26 over the Crimson Tide of Alabama. And coming up between Christmas and New Year's, Monday, December 28th, 9 Eastern from Tampa, the Tigers and the Wolverines, Clemson against Michigan as part of the South Florida Holiday Tournament. The next night from the Omni in Atlanta, same time, Auburn and Villanova in the Cotton States Classic down in Dixie. And it's halftime here. You might remember we were in Alabama last year when we told you about the poignant story of Nolan Richardson and what his family was going through at that time. He experienced the most trying time of his life when he first found out that his 15-year-old daughter, Yvonne, had leukemia. Nolan Richardson has fought a lot of battles in his life, but none tougher than last year. Nolan Richardson is back doing what he loves best, teaching basketball at Arkansas.
I think I came back with a better attitude about what I want to get accomplished. I think basketball became the most important thing to get completed again. I think I rededicated myself when I spent some time in the summer going from place to place, just visiting with other coaches, and I didn't get any ideas other than the fact that do what you do best, and that's what I always tell everyone. I mean, if you got to do what you do best and act the way you act and do the things you do, and that's what I feel like I'm doing.
A pioneer black coach at several levels of competition, Richardson had been breaking barriers his entire life, but nothing would prepare him for the shock of learning that his daughter Yvonne had leukemia.
I didn't care about basketball again. I could care less if a ball ever bounced again. It was the most disturbing news. It was like a nightmare that had come to haunt us. And it did. It continued to haunt us for 2 years.
Nolan's decision to leave Tulsa and take the Arkansas job was decided by a talk he had had with his courageous daughter.
I gave every negative thing I could about Arkansas. And she never, ever blinked an eye and said to me the same thing that seemed like a grandmother had said. You have got to move on, because I think we've probably done as much as you can do here. And I think you deserve an opportunity to go to a place where maybe you have a chance to win a national championship, and you know, Dad, that's your dream. And so that's how she thought about it. And after that night, that next morning, when Coach Brawls called and said that they would want me to be their basketball coach, right then I accepted the job on her behalf.
The Arkansas players were very aware of their coach's sorrow.
We tried to show our respect as best we could, but it's a very difficult thing in that Coach is, he's the strongest person on the team. He's our leader. He's our coach. We follow his lead. And when he was down, all we could do was just try to follow his lead as best we could.
Yvonne lost her 2-year battle with leukemia on January 22nd, 1987. Arkansas honored her at the team banquet.
You still have to go back to what was taught to me many years ago, and that was there's some obstacles in your way. And you got to get over them, around them, under them, but you got to get through them. And that's what I feel like I'm doing now, the things that I think I do best, and that's what I'm trying to get my team to do.
And now, in the interest of family unity, Rose Richardson travels to every away game with her husband Nolan to keep the family together. Pete Maravich, of course, is with me. And Pete, you know what it's all about to lose a loved one. You lost your father, who you were very close to so recently. And Nolan says he thinks about Yvonne every day, and he now says, you know, we're doing so well, but she can't be here to witness our success.
No doubt about that. I understand exactly what he's feeling right now. I just want to say this, that Nolan Richardson's personality is stamped upon this team, and that's what you're seeing right now.
He's a fighter. He's weathered the storm, and his team is having an outstanding season. We'll be back with more halftime activities from Little Rock in just a moment.
We go above and beyond just like you. Above and beyond what we have to do. Investing in what's right for you.
Your Prudential representative helps your money work hard with CDs, mutual funds, and more.
You work hard, so do we. To make what you work for a reality. Prudential, above and beyond.
How to keep beards and mustaches trimmed and neat. A problem as old as mankind itself. Man progressed and flourished, but the facial hair dilemma persisted. Finally, the solution. The Groomsman Cordless Beard and Mustache Trimmer by Wall. You've seen wall clippers in your barbershop for years, and now we put that same professional quality into the Groomsman.
Yeah.
The Groomsman by Wall. Anything else is primitive by comparison.
Fancy perfumey aftershave. It's got to be a quarterback's locker. Real guys who get mud on their uniforms use rugged, honest stuff. Ice Blue Aqua Velva.
There's something about today's Aqua Velva man.
Look for Aqua Velva Christmas gift sets.
The Michigan Wolverines, a scoring machine whose 88 points per game led the league last year. But ACC Coach of the Year